When a man reaches that level of closeness with someone he truly cares about, the physical act becomes almost secondary to the rush of emotions he feels. In that quiet, breath-held moment, he isn't thinking only of the mechanics or the sensations. He is suddenly aware that another person has trusted him enough to invite him into the most private part of her world. It's a trust that can't be faked. His heart registers the vulnerability before his mind even catches up, and what fills him is a mixture of awe and humility. He feels the weight of being allowed in, not just into a body, but into a space that carries meaning far deeper than a fleeting physical connection. This awareness can be startling. He may have expected excitement, but what surprises him is how much he wants to honor the moment. A part of him slows down, sensing that this is not about proving anything or conquering anything. It's about being present, about recognizing that intimacy is a language of its own. Every movement is a word, every breath a sentence. The deeper truth is that what he's feeling has little to do with physical pleasure and everything to do with acceptance. He feels chosen. In a world where men are often taught to hide vulnerability, that feeling of being genuinely welcomed is both grounding and transformative. Inside, a quiet thought often arises: she trusts me. That thought alone carries a kind of warmth that no outside validation can match. It is a reminder that intimacy is built on countless small choices, conversations, laughter, shared glances that have slowly woven two lives closer. In this moment, those choices come together, and he senses their importance. He realizes that being inside someone is not just a physical state. It's an emotional commitment to respect the bond that made it possible. With that realization comes a subtle responsibility. He wants to protect the space, to keep it tender and safe. He is aware that one careless word or action could break the fragile connection they have built. This doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like purpose. He wants to give, to listen, to respond not only with his body but with his heart. He is not just seeking pleasure, he is offering presence. And presence, for a man who values the person he is with, becomes the real source of satisfaction. What deepens the experience even further is the recognition that intimacy is a mirror. In that closeness, he sees parts of himself that daily life rarely reveals. He notices his own capacity for gentleness, his ability to feel rather than to think, his willingness to let go of control. These are qualities society sometimes tells men to hide, but in this private space they become strengths. The physical closeness brings them out naturally, without the need for words. All of this unfolds in moments, often without either person saying a thing. He may never speak these thoughts aloud, but they shape every touch. And later, when the world rushes back in and the ordinary routines return, what stays with him is not just the memory of pleasure. It is the quiet gratitude of having shared something sacred, a recognition that real intimacy is far more than physical closeness. It is trust, acceptance, and the unspoken promise to honor what has been given. In that private moment of deep closeness, a man often feels something that has very little to do with the obvious excitement and everything to do with feeling chosen. It isn't about ego or conquest. It's the quiet realization that someone has looked at him fully and decided he is worthy of that kind of trust. That feeling of being accepted can run deeper than he expects because it touches parts of him he may not even show to the world. Most men grow up with an undercurrent of doubt. Am I enough? Am I lovable? Will someone really see me and stay? When a partner welcomes him in with openness, it speaks directly to those hidden questions and answers them without a single word. There's a subtle warmth in knowing that this connection isn't just physical. It's an unspoken statement that says, I see who you are and I'm letting you close. That validation isn't about inflating his pride, it softens something inside. The simple truth that someone values him, not just his body, not just the surface charm, but the person he is when no one else is looking, creates a sense of safety he might rarely admit he craves. In that space, he doesn't have to perform or compete. He can simply be present, breathing in the moment, letting the walls he's carried for years fall away. This acceptance can feel almost overwhelming because it's rare. Many men live with silent pressures to always be strong, to always prove themselves, to keep emotions in check. But when intimacy becomes an act of mutual choice, those pressures fade. He feels that he doesn't need to be perfect. He just needs to be real. That realization can be profoundly freeing. He can laugh quietly, move slowly, or even hesitate and still feel welcomed. The message he receives is that his presence, exactly as it is, matters more than any ideal of perfection. The physical connection amplifies this emotional recognition. Every shared breath, every subtle movement reinforces that he is not being judged. Instead, he's being embraced for who he already is. That understanding often lingers far beyond the moment itself. It shapes the way he listens, the way he touches, the way he wants to protect the bond they share. Feeling truly accepted inspires him to give more of himself, not just in the act, but in the relationship as a whole. It invites tenderness, honesty, and a deeper kind of passion that isn't about performance, but about mutual care. This sense of validation is not about possession. It's about belonging. It tells him he belongs to this connection, not as something owned, but as someone invited. And because of that, he feels a natural responsibility to honor it. He wants to hold her heart gently, to meet her trust with his own. The acceptance he feels becomes a quiet promise to respect the person who has accepted him. That promise is never spoken, yet it guides his actions, shaping the way he thinks of love and intimacy long after the physical closeness ends. When the world outside returns, the phone buzzes, the day resumes, what stays with him is that unmistakable sense of being seen and valued. It isn't the memory of a single act. It's the lasting echo of being fully welcomed. That validation doesn't just feed desire. It nourishes confidence and gratitude. It reminds him that real intimacy is built not on performance, but on the extraordinary power of genuine acceptance. In the midst of passion, there is a sudden awareness that what's happening carries a weight far beyond the immediate moment. For a man who truly cares, intimacy brings with it an almost instinctive sense of responsibility. It isn't a heavy burden. It's more like a quiet calling that rises up as soon as the closeness deepens. He feels the reality that another person has opened her heart and body to him, and that realization stirs a natural desire to protect, to nurture, and to handle the connection with care. Pleasure might have been the first spark, but the deeper feeling is an understanding that this is about trust, and trust deserves to be honored. That sense of responsibility shows itself in small, almost invisible ways. He pays attention to her breathing, to the subtle shifts in her body, to every cue that tells him how she's feeling. He wants to move in a way that makes her feel safe and respected, because he knows that true intimacy is never one-sided. It's a dialogue without words, a dance where both people guide each other. In those moments, he isn't chasing only his own satisfaction. He's listening, responding, making sure the experience is mutual. This is where real care lives, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet choices that protect the bond they're creating. The awareness goes beyond the physical. He starts to think about what this moment means for the relationship as a whole. He considers how his actions now will echo later, how tenderness, patience, and respect will build a foundation for trust long after the night is over. He wants her to know that she is not just desired but valued, that this connection isn't something he takes lightly. This is not about rules or obligation, it's about integrity. He understands that intimacy has the power to either strengthen or fracture the closeness they share, and he wants to strengthen it. There's also a protective instinct that emerges, one that isn't about control but about care. He becomes mindful of her comfort, her emotions, even her future. He thinks of the conversations they've had about boundaries, about dreams, about where they both hope this relationship will go. All of that lives in the back of his mind as he moves, reminding him that this isn't just a physical exchange, but a continuation of everything they've built together. He realizes that his choices here, how he touches, how he communicates, how he honors her trust, will shape how she remembers this moment and how she feels with him afterward. This responsibility doesn't dampen the passion, it deepens it. Knowing that he is trusted enough to be in this space makes him want to be even more present, to give more of himself. He finds himself slowing down, listening more carefully, letting each moment unfold instead of rushing ahead. That deliberate care becomes its own kind of intimacy, a language of respect that speaks louder than words. It tells her that he sees her as more than a body, more than a fleeting experience. He sees her as a whole person whose heart matters. When the world outside eventually calls them back, what lingers for him is not just the memory of touch, but the certainty that he stepped into that private space with reverence. He carries away the knowledge that intimacy is a privilege, never a right, and that caring for someone in that vulnerable moment is one of the most meaningful responsibilities a man can embrace. It's a feeling that stays long after the night fades, a reminder that real closeness is measured not by passion alone, but by the care taken to protect the trust that made it possible. In the heat of closeness, a man who truly values the connection often finds that his thoughts shift from the thrill of the moment to a quiet question he might never say out loud, "Am I giving enough?" It is a private uncertainty that doesn't come from insecurity as much as from caring. When someone opens their heart and body, he feels a natural urge to match that openness with his own effort and presence. He wonders if he is offering the kind of love, pleasure, and emotional depth that makes her feel cherished. This isn't about trying to impress, it's about wanting the experience to feel as meaningful for her as it does for him. That desire to be enough shows in subtle choices. He slows his pace to listen with his senses, noticing her breath, her movements, the way she responds without words. Every detail becomes a guide. He wants to know that she feels safe and valued, that he is not just taking but giving. This attentiveness transforms the encounter from something physical into a shared exchange of care. Each touch, each glance, becomes a way of asking and answering, "Are you with me? And am I truly here for you?" Beneath the surface, there's a deeper hope that he can meet not only her physical needs, but her emotional ones as well. He knows that intimacy is layered. It's never just about the body. He wants her to feel seen, not just desired. That means bringing more than physical energy. It means presence, empathy, a willingness to listen even when words aren't spoken. The unspoken challenge is to create a space where she can let go completely, trusting that he is paying attention to what matters most. This quiet need to be enough often collides with the messages men grow up hearing. The world tells them to be confident, to perform, to never show doubt. But in an authentic connection, those lessons fall away. He discovers that real intimacy asks for humility. It invites him to admit, at least to himself, that he cares deeply about her experience. That humility isn't weakness. It's what allows him to give fully without hiding behind a farce aid of perfection. As the moment unfolds, he might feel a mix of excitement and responsibility. There is joy in knowing he can create pleasure, but there is also a deeper satisfaction in knowing he is honoring her trust. He wants her to leave the experience feeling valued, respected, and fulfilled. That thought lingers even as passion builds. It shapes how he moves, how he touches, how he communicates without words. Each choice becomes a quiet promise that he is not there just for himself. Later, when the intensity fades and the world returns, the question remains in a softer form. He might replay small moments in his mind, remembering the way she looked at him, the way she breathed, the way they fit together. He reflects on whether he gave enough of his heart, not just his body. This reflection is not about criticism, but about growth. It fuels his desire to keep learning, to keep deepening the bond, to keep showing up with the same attentiveness next time. In the end, the wish to be enough is really the wish to give love in a way that leaves no doubt. It's the silent hope that when she remembers the closeness they shared, she feels not only pleasure but also the profound certainty that she mattered to him in every sense. That is the quiet victory he seeks, not applause, not ego, but the knowledge that his presence was complete and his care unmistakable. Even in the most passionate embrace, a man who truly cares often feels a flicker of fear beneath the warmth, a fear that the bond he treasures might shift or fade once the moment passes. Physical closeness can feel almost timeless while it's happening, but he knows life keeps moving and emotions can change. That awareness stirs a quiet vulnerability. He wonders if this intimacy will deepen their connection or if it might create distance later. It isn't a fear of rejection alone, it's the deeper worry that something so precious could slip away when the world outside comes rushing back. As he holds her, there's a part of him that wants to freeze time. He senses how rare it is to share this level of trust, and the thought of losing it, even gradually, touches something tender inside him. He may not say it, but he hopes that the closeness isn't only for tonight, that it represents something lasting. This hope doesn't come from a need to control. It comes from valuing the relationship and wanting it to grow stronger rather than weaker. The fear of lost lives side by side with gratitude, reminding him how much this connection means. That quiet unease can make him even more attentive. He listens carefully to her breathing, to the way she responds, as if these subtle cues could reassure him that what they share is real and mutual. He isn't looking for grand declarations, just signs that the emotional bond is keeping pace with the physical one. Each gentle movement, each shared glance becomes a silent conversation, a way of asking, are we still together in this, not just in body but in heart? This feeling is intensified by the knowledge that physical intimacy can change relationships. He's aware that sometimes people step closer physically before they're ready emotionally, and he wants to protect them both from that kind of imbalance. He wonders if she will feel the same tenderness tomorrow, if she will look at him with the same trust. The thought isn't possessive, it's protective. He wants the connection to feel safe and mutual even after the intensity fades. At the same time, the fear of losing the connection isn't entirely negative. It pushes him to stay present, to give everything he can to the moment. He understands that nothing is guaranteed, so he treats the experience as something sacred. He slows down, savors her touch, memorizes the way she moves. That mindfulness transforms what could be fleeting into something unforgettable. By valuing each second, he turns worry into appreciation. Later, when the night quiets and they lie together or part ways, the feeling lingers. He might replay the way she smiled, the warmth of her skin, the softness of her voice. He hopes the emotional closeness will remain when the lights are back on and the day begins. That hope is a gentle ache, a reminder that true intimacy is as much about the heart as the body. Ultimately, this fear of losing the connection is not a weakness. It is evidence of how much he cares. It shows that what matters to him is not just the physical act, but the bond that gives it meaning. He wants her to know that she is more than a moment, that the trust they built is worth holding on to. In that awareness lies the real depth of his feelings, a quiet recognition that love and intimacy are fragile gifts, and that cherishing them fully is the only way to honor their power. When the intensity of physical closeness begins to settle, a man who truly values the relationship often realizes that the deepest part of intimacy is not the act itself, but the conversation it invites. The body can express many things without words, but lasting connection comes when two people can talk openly about what they feel, what they need, and what the experience means to them. He senses that if they stop at the physical, the bond could remain fragile, but if they dare to speak from the heart, something stronger takes root. This is where the quiet call for deeper communication begins. In those moments after passion, he might notice how natural it feels to stay close, to listen, to share thoughts that usually remain unspoken. He wants to know not only that she enjoyed the closeness, but also what it stirred inside her, any hopes, any fears, any memories it awakened. He wants to offer his own reflections, even if they are imperfect, because he understands that real intimacy grows when both people are willing to be seen. That desire to talk isn't about dissecting every detail. It's about creating a space where honesty feels safe. He recognizes that communication is not simply a follow-up to physical intimacy. It is part of the intimacy itself. Every question, every gentle answer, every shared silence becomes a way of saying, "I value you beyond this moment." He might ask how she feels, not just physically, but emotionally. He might share what touched him most, what surprised him, what made the experience meaningful. These exchanges weave a fabric of trust that can hold them together long after the night is over. This urge to communicate also carries respect. He knows that her comfort and perspective matter as much as his own. By inviting her voice, he shows that he doesn't assume, doesn't take for granted, and doesn't place his feelings above hers. He wants her to feel heard, to know that her thoughts have a place in the story they are writing together. That respect deepens the connection far more than any physical gesture could. The conversation he seeks isn't limited to a single night. He imagines the ongoing dialogue that keeps a relationship alive, discussing boundaries, desires, and dreams, sharing worries before they grow heavy, celebrating the small moments of understanding. He understands that the kind of trust that allows two people to be physically close is built and rebuilt through words as much as through touch. Without communication, the closeness can fade into something shallow. With it, every encounter becomes a step toward a richer partnership. Even silence, when chosen together, becomes part of this communication. Lying quietly, breathing in rhythm, they speak in the language of presence. He knows that being willing to listen, whether to words or to the quiet between them, is what makes intimacy sustainable. The willingness to stay engaged, to keep learning about each other, transforms what might have been a fleeting encounter into the foundation of something enduring. When they finally part or drift into sleep, what stays with him is the knowledge that they shared more than physical contact. They shared understanding. They built a bridge of words and listening that will guide them forward. For him, that is the real heart of intimacy, not just the moment of union, but the ongoing conversation that proves the connection is alive, respected, and continually chosen.